Hello, everyone, and welcome to this short webinar about Claremont Graduate University International Scholars Program. We'll run probably about 30 minutes, so this will be a short introduction which will lay out the key elements and aspects of the program. But let's start with the most obvious question: what is the International Scholars Program, or ISP? So officially, ISP is a Pathways English for Academic Purposes program. Pathways just means a program that enables you to do something else. And there are many different versions of this. In this case, this is a Pathways program that enables international graduate students to enter a graduate program at CGU. An English for Academic Purposes program, what that is exactly, we'll talk about it in a little more detail in just one moment. But it's a shorthand introduction. What does ISP do? Well, it's specially designed for non-native English-speaking international students who are ready for graduate school. So this is not adapted from another program. This is a specially designed program just here at CGU for graduate students, admitted graduate students at CGU. It also prepares you for the rigors of graduate study through an integrated cluster of classes that refine your language, research, and participation skills. And it teaches you about the practices and expectations of American academic and business culture. And it does this because it is not an ESL program, which is part of what an English for Academic Purposes program means. It's not just going to focus on language acquisition, in this case, English. It's also going to teach you the skills and discourse patterns that you need to do graduate level study. Academic English is a unique language, right? Native English speakers, typically when they start graduate school, they as well it takes time for them to learn academic English, right? It's a unique language, and each discipline has within that its own discourse patterns, let alone different genres of writing and different modes and methods of research. Academic English is its own unique thing, and this program prepares you to work across disciplines in academic English. So it prepares you for graduate school by being graduate school itself. With that out of the way, a quick agenda. We'll start with the pedagogical basis of ISP, and then we'll move into some more details about the entrance requirements. And then we'll finish with a deeper look at ISP curriculum, the schedule, and other details important to the program. So, what is the pedagogical basis of ISP? It's a type of education which is called inquiry-based learning. What is inquiry? Inquiry generally is a need or a want to know. It's something that a program based on inquiry-based learning, or a class taught through inquiry-based learning, is trying to inspire in a student, right? Most of you are coming with a need or a want to know with something in one of your disciplines, right? You're interested in information systems, or you're interested in economics or management. And you have your own reasons for this, to be a better business person or to learn more about how things work within a certain field of knowledge. ISP works through that desire and that push to learn more to help you develop the sorts of skills and abilities you will need to succeed in whatever content area you're pursuing. So these sorts of skills are critical thinking skills. They're going to be creative thinking skills, which are connected to critical thinking, but again, a very important part of graduate study, coming up with new research, right? Engaging with previous research and creating new, advancing a field. And also interdisciplinary thinking and skills, because typically the way that critical thinking works is if you can think well across disciplines and across boundaries, you're going to be able to bring that ability into your own discipline in a way where you'll do your own discipline better. So developing this skill through a methodology like an inquiry-based learning program will help you within your own discipline. It utilizes an inductive approach, and this is in contrast to a deductive approach. A deductive approach of teaching focuses on knowledge transmission. So An instructor stands before a classroom. They've got 15 things they want to teach the students that day. They systematically go through those 15 things, and they're just relaying that knowledge to you. It's the way most lecture-based classrooms work. An inductive approach shifts the focus from being the instructor-centered approach to the student-centered. So instead of just transmitting the knowledge, it tries to create situations where the student themselves will be forced to find the answer in some way. This is typically done through problem solving, where instead of just relaying, here, answer A, you set up a problem and you require the student to go out and find information related to solving the problem, which will lead them towards answer A. But that process itself develops these sorts of skills. It develops critical thinking skills, creative thinking skills, finding solutions where there weren't solutions before for them, and expands your field of knowledge through that problem-solving process. There have been many studies and a lot of research at this point that have shown that this overall is a better way to improve retention in students. The deductive approach, students are more likely to learn for the sake of some sort of end goal, be it a paper at the end of a class or something along those lines, and not integrate that knowledge into their general working understanding. And in graduate school, when you're trying to learn as much as you can about a field and then taking that knowledge to expand it or engage with it in some sort of way, the inductive approach, in our opinion, fits a lot better. And then because this is a pathways program, the inquiry-based learning approach also helps because in the same sort of way that when I talked about solving a problem, the instructor supplies information, right? So this isn't a complete hands-off approach. The instructor scaffolds the student's path towards solving the problem, let's say. So that sort of scaffolding helps develop more of that push for inquiry, but it also helps the student feel guided towards developing critical, creative, interdisciplinary thinking skills, which are, in all honesty, difficult skills to develop. So ISP does that. It does the scaffolded inquiry-based learning approach. And then we also try to mimic, part of ISP also attempts to mimic just the typical graduate level course structure, which is going to be a bit more hands-off in most disciplines. So we try to do a mix in ISP where we'll scaffold and guide you through developing these skills. And then at certain points in the program, we reflect more of a graduate level classroom, which will be 1 or 2 assignments making up a huge chunk of your grade, a lot of independent work, a less scaffolded structure in general. So just wanted to sum up here in a succinct way the core elements of the inquiry-based learning pedagogy. So it focuses on student learning instead of just communicating knowledge. It integrates numerous disciplinary outlooks. You learn by doing, by asking questions, doing research, answering those questions, solving problems. You have to collaborate to do this. It's not as just an individual, I'm going to go out and do research alone by myself in the corner of the library type approach. You're collaborating, lots of group work. And then you also develop a reflective practice, which is something I didn't mention on the previous slide. But this is an important ability to more accurately gauge what you do know so that you are able to get a sense of what you don't know and then reach out for that area. There's an old cliche that says you don't know what you don't know, and obviously that's a truism, but what it's trying to express is that there is a threshold of our knowledge, right? And it's through that threshold that we learn new things, and that's the point of something like a graduate program. So you only know that you're at the threshold if you can self-assess, and self-assessment happens through reflection. So reflective practice is an important part of inquiry-based learning, and in the International Scholars Program, you're doing it throughout the entire program in various ways, but most importantly in a culminating written portfolio assignment halfway through the program and at the end. Shifting gears a bit, let's talk now about the entrance requirements for ISP. So depending upon your level of English proficiency, you'll enter one of the two modules of ISP. Module 1 runs for 8 weeks and Module 2 runs for 8 weeks. So if you enter in Module 1, you take a 16-week program, and if you enter in Module 2, you take an 8-week program. If you achieve a grade of B or higher in all the courses in ISP, then you proceed to the next module, and if you entered in Module 1, and then if that has happened the entire time, you enter into your coursework. So the specific TOEFL and IELTS requirements for modules 1 and 2. For TOEFL, if you score between 75 and 84, or on the IELTS, the 6.0, you enter into module 1. For module 2, it's 85 to 94 on the TOEFL and 7.0 with no section below a 6.5, or with no section that's below a 6.5 on the IELTS. Here's a little bit more information about the modules. The main course in ISP is 201 in Module 1, and that continues to 251 in Module 2. That's called Foundations in Graduate Academic Discourse. That includes 2 different sections. One section is a reading and writing course, and the other is a listening and speaking course. That is 12 hours a week of class time for that course. In Module 1, it's 201. 202 is Foundations in Graduate Research, which is really one of the unique aspects of this Pathways program. We very overtly in ISP teach you research, how to do research, how to conduct it through the scientific method, in the social sciences, and in the humanities as well, in a way that is really quite unique for this type of program. We also have in Module 1 a Foundations in Graduate Learning Strategies course, which very overtly just teaches you strategies, how to annotate, how to read, how to interact with professors, how to find other resources on campus to help you accomplish your goals, and how to develop specific skills to succeed as a graduate student. Module 2 takes a step up. 251, as I just mentioned, the core class of the ISP program, that continues the same. It has a reading and writing course and a listening and speaking course. Those are the 4 main areas of communication that you need to be successful as a graduate student, and that's why that's the foundational course. Again, we have a graduate research course, which expands upon what was covered in Module 1 and really deepens your ability to do research at a graduate level. That course culminates with an actual research proposal. So you've gone through the entire process by the end of Module 2. One of the other courses then is the transdisciplinary course, which is a unique aspect of CGU. Transdisciplinary study is a move against the overspecialization that often occurs once you get to the graduate level and beyond in disciplines where your study becomes more and more specialized into, if you study economics, you study macroeconomics. Within macroeconomics, you study within the third world, and within the third world, you study this specific aspects of GDP growth. And you learn, and there's a lot of research on that research space in and of itself, so you become an expert on that. And when we make those sorts of moves within our discipline, we often lose sight of how factors laterally across disciplines might be affecting that specific area that we're studying. Transdisciplinary research attempts to bring your perspective back to the broader research space, I would say, of how people approach that same problem, maybe GDP growth or greater equality of distribution of wealth or something along those lines, let's say. How different disciplines might approach that same problem, or what different, not only methodologies, but findings might contribute to expanding and improving and solving that problem. Transdisciplinary research attempts to overtly broaden that perspective. And every student at CGU is required to take at least one transdisciplinary course, at least at the PhD level. And we do a little taste of those courses here in ISP. In this case, it's Rhetoric and Reasoning Across the Disciplines, which is our most overt critical thinking course, which will help develop the type of critical thinking ability that applies across disciplines, but also gets you familiar with what transdisciplinarity is and how you can use it in your own fields of study, and if you're in a PhD program, in your transdisciplinary course later on. If you're a management student and you're enrolling in ISP in the summer, we also have a management course, which is what you would take if you're in the summer. You would skip the transdisciplinary one and do the management course instead. Besides that, the final component of Module 2 is a presentation course, which is a half course compared to the others, but you develop very specifically how to present in numerous different settings. All right, so let's shift gears for the final part of the presentation. This is a bit more detail about the actual pathway. I mentioned before that you need to score a B or higher in all the courses in ISP to move into your coursework. You also will be subjected to the same letter grading scale that your instructors will use in your coursework. And if you don't score above a B, you have the option of retaking the TOEFL or the IELTS at that point to see if you can test out of the ISP program and directly into your coursework, or you retake the ISP program and then your pathway into your coursework begins at that point. We offer currently ISP 2 different times a year, in summer and fall. Both modules are offered in both. As I mentioned briefly, Module 1 begins at the start of the semester and runs till the midway point, the first 8 weeks. And then Module 2 starts at that midway point and runs to the end. And my apologies for the last point. It's important to know that for those either 8 or 16 weeks, that the ISP program is a very let's say it's a demanding program, right? You spend a lot of time in class, and a lot of that time is spent working on the assignments, but you do need to be here for the entire 16 weeks. So if you are planning on starting your program in fall, it's important to think ahead to do ISP in the summer and be sure that you're here from the beginning of summer semester to the end leading into fall. The same is true for spring. You'll want to arrive at the beginning of fall. Besides that, here is the contact information for the International Scholars Program, our website and an email address that you can reach us at. And we are here to answer any of your questions and would love to provide an opportunity to talk with you more via email or over the phone to provide you with any more information on the program. Thank you very much.